I'm super excited today because I do have another special guest speaker for you. This is my dear friend, Carla Peluso. Carla is a chef and a teacher and a writer. She has grown a successful business through creative and innovative thinking. She's always looking for ways to add more value and really bless her students and her clients. I know you're going to learn from her story today. So Carla, thank you for being here and sharing with us. I've got my pen and paper ready to take lots of notes. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I so appreciate it. What an honor. But just to give you some background, yes, my name is Carla Peluso. I'm a personal chef and I specialize in catering, classes, and celebrations, my 3 C's. And just to give you some background, I did not go to culinary school. I actually learned these skills later on in life. I went to school to be a journalist, then ended up taking business classes, which I'm glad I did, and actually went into finance for a very long time. I'm kind of both right and left brain. My dad is the opposite of honest dad. My dad is a computer programmer, very analytical brain, and my mom is very artistic. So I kind of got a little bit of both. And so anyway, left college and pursued sort of the corporate world, but it didn't quite scratch all the itches that I had. And once I had my second son, kind of came home and started playing around in the kitchen because I had time. Food Network was a brand new thing and I was watching it at 2 a.m. with the newborn. And I realized I had a desire and a knack. And so I sort of started a journey, what I would call like an apprenticeship / self-teaching. And I just kind of would go to any chef that would teach me anything and go to restaurants and just learned a lot. But really having small children and having that lifestyle, it was just being up late and then getting up early. I couldn't maintain it for very long. So I kind of sadly had to put it down for a while, but you just never know how things come back around. And 2015, I started homeschooling my older 2 sons. And by 2016, I really needed to supplement some income and I was trying to kind of brainstorm. And I had realized through that journey of homeschooling how much I loved teaching and how I was actually good at it. Like that was something I never really looked at teaching as a skill. That really wasn't the mindset I grew up with, but I realized like a lot of people couldn't do it. A lot of people couldn't take what was in their brain and give it to somebody else. And so I discovered I could do that and I loved it. So I, like absolutely trembling, I started a business in 2016, which is a chef class. And I mainly marketed it to homeschoolers. And I remember just being so afraid of failing, being like, no one is going to drop their children off here. No one is going to write me a check. This is the worst idea I've ever come up with. And, but to my delight and surprise, a bunch of people signed up. I had 14 students my first year. And it really took off. And then as it grew, I started doing summer and spring break camps. I started working at a homeschool tutorial, like a 2-day-a-week program where it's kind of like I would say like a quasi private school. And so that way I was able to teach a lot of students at once. This will be my 3rd year this fall. And I kind of shifted again last year I had some personal struggles. I became a single mom very unexpectedly. And I was like, okay, I can go back to the corporate world. I can go back to a 9-to-5, but I realized that I loved being an entrepreneur and I was good at it. And it got me out of bed in the morning. And so I was like, okay, I gave myself a window of time and I was like, I'm going to give this everything I have for this amount of time and see what happens. And so I did. I started doing instructional videos. And let me tell you something, more than half of the time, I went into these projects and these pivots being like, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing? What camera do I need? What microphones do I need? I just started asking people. I had no idea what I was doing. I just did it. I just started. And so my instructional videos really took off. I used a lot of social media for that. I pivoted to chef class with Carla, and I really focused on networking groups, whether I paid for them or not. A lot of them are not paid. And really through that, I found that I was also pivoting not only from my classes, because I had launched a website in 2019 focusing on my classes and trying to expand that, but just the market was showing me that catering was where it was at. And so I really started catering. And, there were lots of times that, people would be like, can you cater a 200-person wedding? And I would be like, yes, I can. I had never done that before. But you just say yes and you figure it out. And I did. I did my research. I asked around. And then by the time it was ready to present, it was there. I could do it. So I encourage you, say yes. Even if you're inside, you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Just say yes. Just go for it. Okay, so then, of course, we have 2020, which ironically, I have a word for the year each year, and my word was pivot for 2020. I had no idea that the entire world would have my word with me. And so once again, I was pivoting from this crazy virus and, all this great catering that I had coming in. It was great money. It was so much fun. All of a sudden, graduation parties, weddings, all of these things were getting canceled or postponed. And so I was like, okay, what in the world am I going to do? So I kind of started looking at what the market was telling me. And the market was telling me people were still having birthdays, they were still having anniversaries, they were still having small family gatherings, and they wanted cakes. And I was like, okay, we're going to make some cakes. So where I was maybe making a few a month, I'm now making several per week. And I just was watching the market, and people were in their homes. They were learning how to cook. They were cooking more. And so I started doing more instructional videos and getting them on YouTube and trying to meet the needs of the people that kind of were letting me know what they wanted. I also realized that I needed to diversify. That was something I had heard a while ago that said, the average millionaire, I think, had 5 different streams of income. And I was like, wow, that's a really good goal. And so that was kind of already in my head, but this has kind of shown me even more how important that is. And I was also doing some freelance chef work, whatever I could get. So that really helped me because I had a friend who has a meal service business, and I was helping her on the side, just plate one day a week. And she was a great friend. She helped me when I was in a really bad spot. And I loved being able to, help her in her business. And she has a very specific menu to meet people's dietary restrictions, and she delivers to your door. So of course, when all of this virus happened, her business blew up. I mean, it really increased. So even though I was losing income and catering and things, I was able to kind of pivot and help her more. So that's a really great business to get in. Okay, and so what I would say with what will stay after this Corona pivots is I really think it's kind of shown me how important online classes are, how I was already setting up like a subscription-based tier program. I'm like, I really need to launch that. So just kind of thinking about when the dust settles, what will remain. I mean, I think these Zoom meetings, these are kind of great. And I probably would have had a little bit of a bad attitude about it because I love face-to-face so much in like meeting people and conversations. But you know what? These Zoom calls are actually very efficient, and I will probably utilize more in the future. So, okay. So moving on to the create. I am so pumped about this. For a long time, because I was in finance and I am a very logical realist, I didn't think of myself very much as a creative, sort of in the middle of my 20s and 30s. And I really had to kind of rediscover how creative I really am. And I think I completely agree. Everyone has creativity. Even my dad, who's a computer programmer, he created software, he created programs. So I want to kind of think about entrepreneurship as an art form. So just hang with me. I know some of you are like, whatever, but I'm telling you, the art of entrepreneurship. So I tried to find a concise definition of entrepreneur. There were so many amazing definitions. I had a really hard time narrowing it down. So, I mean, that should show you how broad that statement really is. And so I kind of, I pulled it down to this. I said, not only are you innovating and manufacturing a product or a service, but you're marketing, promoting, and selling it to the marketplace. I mean, there are so many definitions. And no matter how big your business is, it takes a lot of creativity. And then I also want to define art, because I agree with Anna. I think, we think art, we think artist, and we have a very specific way we look at that. And I got a definition of art, and I love it. The expression or application of human creative skill and imagination. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. So, again, I cannot draw. I cannot paint. I mean, it's sad. I just really can't. So if I only had that very narrow definition of a creative person, I would have given up and said, oh, I'm not a creative person, and moved on to something else. But my creativity looks very, very different. And so, not art can absolutely be all of those things. Sculpture, a painting, it can be millions of things, but it can also be the art of teaching, of patching and painting a wall. I don't know if you've seen that done well, but it's like an art form. It's amazing. What else? Mowing a lawn. Have you seen the lawn where they do the crosshatch or the diagonal? It's beautiful. To me, that is like art. Repurposing furniture, building a website, editing someone's written masterpiece, or baking a cake. So there are so many ways that you can be creative. Okay, so you discussed before about meeting people's needs around you, what problems you can solve. This is very logical. This is a great thing to do. I love the Venn diagram from yesterday that Anna had, that was skills, loves, and resources. I loved those three things. That was fantastic. But I'm going to talk about passion, because I believe creativity comes from a passion. So, this is less about, just kind of take a step back with me, get a piece of paper out, pencil, pen, whatever, and just at the top, write my passion list or passions or something like that. And, this might be something that you need to do later. This might be something you can do. Some of you might be like, oh, I have 3 right now. But the other of you, it might take a few minutes. For me, I actually need to get quiet. I need to get still so I can really tap into what I want. And this is what gets you excited? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What is something that fuels your soul? And this is a great place to start, where you can go from there and say, okay, of my passions, how can I translate this to someone else? How can I monetize it, to put it plainly? And come from this place of passion. I have a good friend who makes toys. He makes toys. He gets resin, he makes molds, and he makes toys. This is a very niche market, but he loves it. And he has found people through social media that love it also, and purchase from him on a regular basis. So I just want to encourage you. There is something really incredible about the passions that you have inside of you. Everybody's got them. What makes you just excited? So, all right, well, that's all I have. Thank you so much.